Okay, now this one's a little bit more challenging, and let me tell you why. It's two little details. First of all, you notice it's not just an x in the front anymore, it's a 2. Alright, and you're also noticing now that we have a minus. Okay, so what that negative is going to do is it's going to end up causing some of the terms to be positive and some of them to be negative. So let's go ahead and work through these and see what happens. Now I'm going to change the directions here a little bit just so we don't get so overwhelmed. We don't need to find all of the terms. Let's just go ahead and say we go ahead and find the first 3 terms. Okay? Alright, so that being the case, our first term will not be x to the 6th. It's going to be 2x to the 6th. And now I'm actually going to put that 2x in parentheses because that 6th power is going to apply to both parts there. Okay? Now the next part is going to have a coefficient here, of course, and it's going to be a combination of 6 and 5 because the next power of 2x will be 5. And now the negative 3 gets to make its appearance in. And we'll continue that on to the third term. So the next coefficient will be a combination of 6 with 4 because our 2x term is now going to be at the 4th power. And the negative 3 will go from the 1st power up to the 2nd power. And that's just going to keep going. But we're going to go ahead and stop here at the third term because, as you can see, this gets pretty laborious. So let's go ahead and just work it through here and see what we get. So I got to do 2x to the 6th power. Now, let's use the power rule here. If I do 2 to the 6th power, that's going to be 64. And then x to the 6th is obviously just x to the 6th. Plus. Okay, now using my calculator here, a combination of 6 and 5 would give me 6. Okay, now 2x to the 5th power, once again using our power rule, we get 32x to the 5th. I'm going to keep those parentheses on there though so it doesn't look like it's 632 because it's not. It's 6 times 32. And then we have our negative 3 also. Next, we have a combination of 6 and 4. Alright, so I believe that's going to be 15. And then we have 2x to the 4th, which is going to be 16x to the 4th. And then we have negative 3 squared, which is 9. Now I want you to notice something here. In our second term, the negative is present, so that's going to make this whole term become negative. But here, the power of 2 caused that 3 to become a positive. And what's going to happen is if we kept going, every time there's an odd power, it's going to make the whole term negative because it's going to stay negative. But when you have an even power, the negatives cancel out and you're going to end up with a positive term. So what happens is the terms alternate from positive to negative, positive to negative, positive to negative, so on and so forth. Alright, well now we got to do our final step of multiplying to simplify the term. So I got to do 6 times 32 times negative 3 on this one. And on the third one here I have to do 15, 16, and 9. And there are other terms, but once again, we're not really concerning ourselves with those right now. So I went ahead and did that multiplication. As you can see, the first term is positive, but the second term is negative, and then the third term is positive. And if we kept going, the fourth term would be negative, the fifth would be positive, the sixth would be negative, and so on and so forth. So that is the first 3 terms of the expansion of 2x minus 3 to the 6th. Alright, let's go ahead and we'll move on to a practice problem for you. Here it is. I'd like you guys to do the same thing. I'd like you guys to go ahead and find me the first 3 terms. So go ahead and pause the video and give that a shot. Alright, well, assuming you've done that, let's go ahead and work it out and see what we get now. So the first term will be 3x to the power of 4. After that, there's going to be a coefficient, and it's going to be a combination of 4 and 3 because the 3x will now be being raised to the 3rd power. And now we also have a negative 1 to be multiplying in there. Next we'll have a coefficient of 4 with 2, and we'll have 3x squared and a negative 1 to the second power, and we're going to stop there at the third term. Okay, so 3x to the fourth power, don't forget to apply the fourth power to the 3 also, you get 81x to the fourth. A combination of 4 and 3 is 4. 3x to the third is going to be 27x to the third. And then we have our negative 1 still hanging out there. A combination of 4 and 2 will be 6. 3x squared is 9x squared. And then negative 1 squared becomes a positive 1. Negative 1 to the second power will be positive 1. Now we just have to do our multiplication and we're all done. So 81 x to the fourth plus, let me get my calculator here, 4 times 27 is 108. But we have a negative 1, so it's actually going to become a negative 108, right? So let me get rid of that plus, and we're going to change it to a negative 108 x to the third. And then finally we have 6 times 9, which is 54, times 1 is 54. Notice how this one stays positive because the 1 was positive. So those are the first 3 terms of this binomial expansion.